Are you there?
Should I start?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Here comes that.
This is a web-based call, so we're operating on the following procedures. This session is being both video and audio recorded. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and will generally be keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the staff or the chair. For public input before the meeting, please email your comments to publicinput@columbiact.org within 24 hours before the meeting.
Thank you. There was another rules and call the meeting to order, please. Stand.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What do you tell the citizens? Did we have an email there?
No.
Anybody in the audience care to speak? Okay. Approve minutes. FiPAC regular minutes, January.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written. I second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention? Passed. Correspondence, anything in the correspondence, like to anybody's attention? Comments, questions? No. Good. Old business, update of the HVAC project.
Basically, was it February 23rd, with the referendum, if you haven't heard, it passed by about 137 to 56. The HVAC committee has been meeting regularly on Monday. I think they posted, they have a request for qualifications to move forward with finding somebody to engineer the project. And we're still waiting for whether we have the award of the grant. It could be coming out any day. They have a rating system, so we're just waiting for a letter. I think they're gonna do a formal letter to the school, so I don't think they're gonna email it, so we just have to keep our eyes out for it. Barb, do you have anything to add? You've been attending meetings.
No, it doesn't set up.
Yep, that's
We had a
basically
new
it.
member join on Monday, an alternate named Alan.
Perfect.
Since this might impact the certain budget decisions, let's talk about it a little more. This requires us to upfront, if we receive the grant, and we'll know that roughly when, isn't it?
I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks, but they're still reviewing.
Okay, and if we get the grant, the board of selectmen will almost immediately transfer 1.9 million from the general fund to the capital account. That's the question.
No.
When?
Well, I think we can transfer what we need for a schematics, basically a vision of what they need to do to find out what we can do or what is truly needed for the eradication of moisture, and provide the items that they need in the RFQ, which is HVAC, air conditioning, heating, eradication of the moisture. And you have to look at it, but I did not read purification of the air, but that is certainly a consideration. So I don't think we have to transfer 1.8 right away, or do we?
Is it 1.8?
I believe we have to, because that's what was approved at the town meeting. But it also pending, I think everything is still pending on the amount of the grant award. And then once we find out what the grant award is, it's just deciding whether we're definitely moving forward. If we are moving forward, then I think the town's anticipating we are gonna fund $1.8 million, and that's what has to go into capital.
Well, in any case, it's unlikely that the project will cost less than 1.8 million. I have no specs, but I'm just guessing from experience. That means 1.8 million will have to come out of the general fund by the end of 2024, first statement.
But then the grant money will be reapplied based on the 1.8
After the end of 20, well, before the end of
24.
The reimbursement will be at the end.
But the work
But
has to be
presumably
done
the money
by,
will come out in April, April or May, it's gonna come out of 2023. And the grant money will not come back for 2025.
No, but we have to fully fund.
I understand that, that's what I'm saying, so we're trying to get at the timing.
So I
The
know,
timing is 1.8 will be removed probably in April or May of 2023.
yes, but the state has to spend the money by the end of 2024, so we should be getting
Have
money
it
back
back by the end of 2024.
pending the completion of the project. There might be some, extension depending on where we're at, if we get the money, so that's a wait and see.
So in theory, if they are delayed and they don't finish it by 2024, we wouldn't get the grant money?
Don't know.
there's a lot of questions in this whole thing.
How much,
Wish we'd had
How
those
much-
answers first, but
We,
before you say something, how much money is the grant? How much?
Right
51%.
Right now, we see the
projected.
reimbursement is a little over 51%, so that's definitely, well, say, estimate 930,000, maybe a little
Okay.
more. Is that my calculator going?
What will be the latest date that we would find out about the grant?
They haven't told us. Because right now, they're evaluating all the applications and rating them, and
Like, I mean,
I thought we'd
are
have
we
it by,
finding out before the summer or the end of the year? What point
it
did
should
you
be
find out?
sometime now, because they want to make sure that towns have enough time to get the project going and complete it by next summer.
And let's say hypothetically, we don't get the grant, what happens then?
That'll be a discussion with the board of selectmen.
Do we have to re-vote on it?
yes,
Thank God, that's the referendum, and fire, we get the.
we do not get the grant, this referendum is null and void. We have to go back
That's what-
and find out what the project is gonna cost. Then it has to go to a new one to see if the town wants to spend that money,
Well,
any money.
you don't have to go to a new town meeting. It sounds like we're gonna know, if we get a no pretty soon.
There's a couple of things in
So
this.
let me finish.
Yep.
If we get a no pretty soon and you have a plan B, that can be incorporated into the budget document and voted on as part of approval of total approval of what we're gonna do next year.
Well, there seems to be a slight disagreement with 1.8 or whatever the cost is, because truthfully, I am not confident in the only solution that has been put out there. We have,
Let me interrupt you again. I understand that. I guess what I was assuming is that, and there's a good document floating around that was presented to the public a couple of weeks ago. In that document, you had the pieces, and some of those you identified as, if we don't get the grant, we have to do boom, 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 and the approximate cost of phase one, I call it phase one, is 125,000. The approximate cost of phase two is something else.
Mhm.
That's the sort of little pieces I thought maybe could be incorporated into the budget process. But we can discuss that, or you can think about that for next week.
I've thought about it. That paper is if the project that the company contracted 2 years ago in their evaluation, if that project goes forward, that was the money speculated for that sole solution.
Okay,
I don't know if that solution is the solution,
understood.
okay? There are solutions that may come in less. So I'm not ready to move ahead. We have to, the RFQ is one thing, it will get different companies in here to look at it with different eyes to say, this is your problem. here, and here, and this is how we solve the problem.
All I'm saying is, you know, you have to rewire the building.
Mm-hmm.
I
Is
don't
there,
know who's
is
answering for me, but thanks.
there any reason, if that's all you know at that point, is there any reason not to include that in the budget document to say, we know?
400,000, you could do that.
Well, again, we can talk about it next week, but that's
Right.
all, that's what I'm getting at. The known knowns you can budget for. The stuff that you wanna figure out what's the best option.
I'm not a master electrician, so I don't know. There's some thought that we can go back to a 1200 volt or something, and it wouldn't cost that much. I don't know. So, yes, we could probably safely say we have to upgrade the panel at the cost of, as I saw the signs, $375,000 to $500,000, somewhere in there.
But, yeah, okay,
So, sure, but then you would probably have to want to put another $100,000 into the preparation of the system or a system. So we know, that investment of the $100,000 will bring the solution that we can then bring to the town to say, this is what it's going to cost.
yeah, okay. Again, those two things you identified,
Yeah.
don't see any good reason not to include it in the budget process. We know that we're gonna have to set that money aside. Why reduce show the town a fund balance that we know is gonna be wiped out by 500,000.
Okay,
Okay, we can talk about it next week, once you get where I'm coming from. Okay. Anything else on HVAC? Transfers,
There are two of them. The first one is, for $1,735. It's needed, we're gonna transfer from the group insurance line with the, surplus in to the unemployment line. We've had some unemployment claims by a former employee, that we had to pay out, and the line went over budget, so we have to cover it.
unemployment or workers' comp.
It's not workers' comp, it's unemployment.
Okay,
That's why, and then the second,
surprise, nothing we could have budgeted for.
Nope.
Okay,
and the second one is $500 from contingency to fund a new grant subsidy for the Friends of Mono Pond that was requested to help them up with starting some of their work this year. So the board of selectmen approved giving them $500 this year as we get.
okay. Okay,
Do we know what kind of work they're doing over there at Mile Pond?
I know they're just forming together. I assume it's gonna be working on the trail, signage, all that kind of stuff.
I think that this $500 was to allow them to start up a 501c.
It's the fee for applying to be a nonprofit organization to the IRS.
Yeah, so the town can't necessarily pay for that. They just requested $500 to cover their.
Administrative.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's administrative.
Yeah, whatever their, whatever cost they currently have and want to cover, they just ask $500.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the transfers. Both transfers.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Good. Now. You will do,
Before you start, are the budget documents that were on the table the same as the ones you emailed? Or have they been
Yes.
updated?
They're all the same. No, once they went to you, they're all the same. Next week, that's all.
Of course.
overview of budget documents, somewhere in your package, you have a one-page thing that says overview of budget documents, basically a table of contents. Okay, Dan, anything else you want to say on that?
No, it should pretty much coincide with the budget document, so it's basically a table of contents to kind of give you if you want to look at certain sections, you know what page to look at. That's it.
Okay, now we get to this presentation of the budget documents, first Board of Education, and that's really, who's up?
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Barbara Wilson. I am the interim superintendent for the rest of this year and next year. Scott Leslie with me. He is the interim assistant superintendent for the rest of this year and next year. And if you are wondering, he is assisting with the director position as I'm filling that as well. So we split the position. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to share the Board of Education's proposed budget with you. Did you want to put it on the screen or? I think we'll. All right, I'd like to recognize the Board of Education members. Unfortunately, several are not feeling well tonight, so they are either via Zoom or not here. Mr. Maziarz, Michael Maziarz, our chairperson, Christine Sposito is here with us today. Jim Chikolsky, Lauren Haberman, Joe Napolitano, Leah Osborne, and Rachel Rondo is here. Rondo is here with us today as well. They were obviously a giant part of developing this budget, in coordination with our team. The next page you'll see our administrative team, again, Scott, myself, and we have the principal is Carolyn Dusky, and the assistant principal is Karen Caputo, and we thank them as well for their help with this. I'll go quickly through this because I remember you called it fluff before. So, we always start with a discussion of, what is our job? What are we doing? And we reflect on the goals for student achievement that drive our budget decisions. We review our guiding principles with the Board of Education and our core values. We examine our mission as well as our vision. I'll take a minute to talk. We have 4 simple goals for our students in Columbia. The first, to continuously strengthen our instruction for all students, to ensure a positive school-wide learning environment, to continually improve our communication with all stakeholders, including all the boards in Columbia, and to provide structures and methods of continual professional development for our teachers and our staff. I'll read to you the mission. But please know the mission defines our district, our objectives, and the how-to for achieving our objectives. Our vision defines our aspirations for all of our students. And these slides, just some pictures of instruction going on in our classrooms. That's Mrs. Dusa. She is a second grade teacher with 2 of her young learners. We have a STEM project here. This was done in our gym. And then lastly, this was a science lab where we had students working with chemicals and really exploring that process. All right, our budget drivers. What starts after we do our philosophical, looking at our mission and talking about our hopes and wants? What really drives this budget? Our known costs. We have contracts, our teacher salaries, our administrator salaries, non-cert salaries, all the insurance, our transportation, fuel. Those are costs that we really can't control. They're driven by what is contracted. We also add into the equation what grants we have available. We always get an IDEA grant, which is a special education grant, federal grant, and I'm happy to say it's up a little bit this year. We get title grants, Title I, Title II, Title III and IV. We still have that ARP ESSER money from a little bit left over from COVID. However, much of it has gone away, which you'll see in the next few slides. The REAP grant, which helps us with some technology. Another driver that are federal and state laws and regulations and requirements. Oftentimes, the state of Connecticut or the federal government mandates certain changes and they do not fund them. I can share with you in detail, if you'd like at some point, there's an HVAC bill that was passed. We happen to be doing an HVAC project, but we are mandated now to do air quality testing, I believe every 2 or 3 years. It's significant. It's town I live in budgeted about 130,000 for that, for this year. It states things such as temperature cannot, in a gym, can't fall below 65 degrees, nor be above 85 degrees, or we have to close the gym. There's another mandate that just came out, and it's an ELA, which stands for English Language Arts Curriculum for students in Connecticut who are in grades K through 3. That is a mandate. They are allowing us to choose from one of 6 curricula for teaching. It's all around the science of reading. There's a real push, kind of driven by, dyslexia groups for one of these curriculum. For English language arts for those grades, I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along because that is in our budget. And then there's several other mandates. If ever you would like copies of new legislation, please let me know because we get them, and I can provide those to you. We also look at current student needs, our concerns. We have an increased enrollment, which is, exciting for us. High school tuition estimates, contracted services, staffing patterns, special education. All right, so our total proposed budget for 2023-24 is $13,877,059. That is the total budget. That is a net increase of $614,389 and a percentage increase of 4.63. Quickly doing some research around area towns. We have Andover, Ashford, Lebanon and Ram, all in the 4.17296176. Bolton's budget has come in at 6.88. Colchester right now is looking at 8.99. Coventry is at 3.88. And Hebron is coming in, board approved at 14.57 increase. All right, so let me turn the page. If you look at our grant awards, and again, we are continually looking for grant opportunities that come. Another one has popped up recently for mental health that I'll try to be writing to see if we can, anything extra. Some of the grants that are available, particularly some preschool grants that are pretty good, are not available to Columbia just based on where Columbia falls in Connecticut when they rank towns from 1 to 169. But you can see the title grants are prices there, the IDEAs, the REAPs. We have about a little less than 60,000 remaining in our COVID grants. So right now we're anticipating receiving $262,297 in grant funding, which is a decrease of $116,431, which is a 31% decrease in grants. Yes.
Why?
Because that was all the COVID money that they had given us. We had a lot of money.
So
And those were grants.
if you factored out the COVID money and went with historic grants, would we still be consistent? Or
I
would
mean,
we
I
still
have to
be
go
down?
back and look to answer that well, unless you know that off the top of your
Since
head.
presumably a lot of the COVID needs are gone, the COVID money is also gone.
I would say it depends on the grant. Some of our Title II is slowly decreasing. The IDEA,
It's gone up slightly, it's pretty
slightly,
consistent.
but they're all pretty consistent.
I think it was 112, over the past few years, and now it's 118.
Is it just that
That's
the
not
federal
bad.
government thinks we don't need as much for education?
Pardon me?
Is it the federal government thinks we don't need as much to educate kids? I mean,
No.
I
So,
think it depends on the town, the population, and there's multi-factors in it.
With the COVID money, did we create any new positions? Are we paying new staffers?
so we did have a position, I'll get to that specifically, just to hold that thought. We use some of it to, a lot of it to pay for the PPE, the masks,
Right, I
the
understand.
gowns.
yeah, that makes sense.
We used a lot to pay for extra nursing staff at the time because our one school nurse was inundated, so we had often 2 nurses in the building at once.
But that was sort of my question, Barb, was like, if we had the money, but we also had extra needs, then we have lesser needs now, so the lesser
then-
money should be okay, is it
Well,
roughly equal? So lesser needs, lesser money, or is there still?
I can get back to you with a specific percentage over, historically.
Okay, thank you.
But from last year, it's down 31%. Then we go on to again, this is what the anticipated town appropriation is. There's the total figure of 13,877,000, taking away the grant funds. And the town is looking, we're asking you to consider an appropriation of 13,614,762, which is an increase from last year's 730,820, which for the town is an increase of 5.67, despite it being an over, only a 4.63 increase.
Somehow with my screen.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Hold on. I'm just trying to get back to, can you go?
Here we've got that in front of us, anybody.
We don't worry about it.
The one on the people on the, but that's right, you can keep going, I'll catch up.
Okay, all right, I'm trying to think. So we look at the history of the town appropriations, which is pretty impressive. From 2017-18 school year to the current school year, if you were to, add and subtract all those percentage of an increase, it's a net increase of 0.88, unless you take in that 2018-19 where the town gave an additional appropriation, it would be an overall net increase of only 2.55 in all those years. Historical. I'm actually really proud of this next slide, the special education costs. It is our goal always, myself as the director of special education and my fantastic team of special educators at Forest Porter School to program for students in district. Sending them to an outplacement is the last resort. And it's frankly just not good for anybody. It's not good for the student, nor obviously financially. So I'm pretty proud of when I began here, we had over $1 million of outplacements, and that is down 64% to 381 proposed for next year. Additionally, high school services have gone down significantly, 66%. Again, I'm proud of my team for really educating and doing all they can for students in the pre-K through 8 school. And then because of all that, transportation naturally goes down as well. We have put some really innovative and cost-saving programming in place, such as hiring a BCBA, which is a behavior consultant full-time, which really decreases our outplacement. We've created a program within our school called the SOAR program, again, for students who have real difficulties being in the regular ed classroom, and it's been very, very successful. It's best for students, and a second benefit is it is financially responsible. Enrollment. From 2019, we started with 407 students. Currently, we're at 476, 69 student, 17% increase in our student population since September of 2019, which is exciting, but it is notable as an increase in students. Going on to notable increases and decreases. You're going to see the salary line is higher by $639,829. Some of that is contractual. Most of that is contractual. Every year, teachers are paid according to their contract, whether you get a percentage raise. Some teachers, if they're not at the top step, increase a step. Other teachers, if they receive their master's degree, move over in the table and get an increase that way. This salary line does contain 2.0 FTE new positions. I just want to be clear. The administration looked at class sizes. They looked at a lot of factors. The middle school is getting quite large. Originally, in this budget, we had an entire team of middle school teachers to add to the budget. In that case, 4.0 science, social studies, ELA, English, and math. It was significant. So Mrs. Lewandowski and Scott and Karen Caputo really met. And what do they need? They whittled that down to a 1.0 full-time equivalent math teacher. If they, instead of getting a whole team, if they can add a section of math, they're going to be able to offer different math programming for students such as algebra in the 8th grade, and in some cases geometry in the 8th grade. Typically, geometry is a sophomore class of high school, where algebra often is a freshman class. By bringing it to the middle school, which is in every middle school, students are able to go into higher maths as they go into high school. So it does contain that position. It contains a half-time PE teacher, PE/health teacher, so that we can continue to offer our students gym twice a week. Another benefit to our related arts, remember, our teachers have contracts. They contractually need planning time in their contract. We cannot take that away from them. So when students are at their specials, that's the time where a teacher gets their planning time. So if I take a special away, I don't have a planning time for a teacher, or I might have to hire a sub so that they get their contractual planning time. And then the last position is a half-time position for a speech language pathologist. Back 3 years ago, not 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we had 1.5, no, we had more than 1.5 speech language pathologists. We have like a 1.8. As the enrollment decreased, I cut that part-time speech pathologist out of the budget. So for the past several years, we've had a 1.0 speech pathologist. Currently, her caseload is over 40 students. A normal caseload is 25. So we have added a 0.5 speech pathologist into our budget. So between the full-time math, part-time PE, part-time speech, there is a 2.0 increase in that. The employee benefits of increase of 323,722 reflects all of everybody that's planned for in our salary line, including certified and non-certified. Legal services, you'll see it's up by $8,000. We will be planning contracts. We'll be doing negotiating contracts with our teachers, administrators, and that thinks that there's a third group. I think that's next year, our non-certs, but we can double check. So that's why legal services has increased. And then the textbook curriculum line is up by just a little, almost 88,000. Again, that goes to that non-funded mandate of ELA curriculum. They're requiring a certain curriculum for K through 3. Originally in our